Hey everyone, how to do crisscrosses, aka crossovers. Welcome back to the channel. Can you see what goes wrong here? So far so good. Okay, so the rope got caught in my feet, caught in my legs, but why? Did you notice what happened? If not, don't worry. I'm going to share with you here in this video what went wrong there, and I'm also going to share a lot of different tips and techniques that will help you, I hope, get better at performing crisscrosses. Or if you're learning how to do them but finding them very difficult, I really hope this video helps you. I once struggled a lot with crisscrosses. I was trying all different techniques, and then once I found out a few commonalities, a few things that worked really well, they became a lot easier to perform. I can do crisscrosses for minutes on end without making mistakes. So that's what I want to share with you here in this video, what I found, what works, what doesn't, and I've helped several people learn how to do crisscrosses. Some people who are really finding them difficult. I'm going to share with you the techniques, the tips that I found work well for them. So there are so many different crisscross techniques, as I said there a second ago, and they all work. I can perform them in all different ways, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're all maybe right for you. Maybe some techniques are better for you. So I hope you take something away from this video which you can apply to your jump rope game and improve your crisscross ability. Crisscrosses, the very first thing or technique that I tried doing was the hug method. So let's say you're jumping rope down here, you're in your normal jump rope position. Maybe you like jumping rope with your forearms, your lower arms farther away from your body. If that works for you, it's all good. I like to keep my elbows close to the side. I find it easier, I find it more efficient. And when you have the rope, your arms out to the side like this, as you can just see right there, and just notice I'm actually on a little bit of a decline here, but it's all good. Look where the rope is, it's on the ground. It's making quite a bit of contact with the ground, but as I move my arms out to the side, the rope gets a little bit higher. So the rope gets shorter. So in order for me to jump that, I will likely have to jump a little bit higher. Speaking of rope length, a rope that comes up to about your chest height, your armpit, is a good length. So here, you can see there, the handles, I got them horizontal here, the rope comes up to about my chest height. So that's a good length for when you're learning how to do crisscrosses. So the first technique that I tried was the hug method, as I said there. So let's say you're jumping rope here, you have your hands down at your side, and you bring your arms, your hands across your body like that. So for crisscross, we want to cross the rope and uncross it. So with the hug method, you bring your arms across your body like you're giving yourself a hug. Okay, you're giving yourself a hug. And can you just notice, where's the rope right now? Yeah, it's hitting my shins, it's hitting my legs. So in order for me to jump that, I'm going to have to jump quite high, or you might have to do what a lot of people do when they're learning how to do crisscrosses, which is very inefficient, it's tiring, and it can lead to injuries. A lot of people will hunch over a lot or bend over a lot when they're doing crisscrosses. Why? Look where the rope is now. The rope is approaching the ground. Okay, so the rope is making more contact with the ground, therefore I don't need to jump as high to clear that rope. But if I'm standing more straight, look at that. Okay, so I'm gonna have to jump higher to clear that rope. So now you will see people hunch their backs a little bit when they're doing crisscrosses, but those are usually more advanced variations. Watch this when I perform a regular 2-foot hop crisscross. First of all, notice how high I jump off the ground. Not very high at all. Let's see that from the side. swinging from my hips or arching my back forward much. I wasn't jumping high. It's not necessary. But if you're doing the hug method and you're using a normal length rope, a rope that comes here, if you're doing the hug method, all of a sudden your rope is going to get too high in your shins. You're going to have to jump too high. That's inefficient, or you're going to have to bend over. Or some people just use a longer rope, because you can imagine if I'm doing the hug method and I have a longer rope, it's going to be touching the ground. But maybe you don't want a longer rope for all the different techniques or jump rope moves that you can do. I like to use one length and be able to perform all different tricks. Okay, so the hug method. One problem with that is you're going from here, and if you're bringing your arms high up across your body, it's going to hit your shins. Another thing about that technique, or any crisscross technique, when you have the rope here and you bring your arms across, some people really exaggerate the cross of the arms. So just watch what happens again with the rope. It gets in higher and higher and higher. So some people really like to cross the arms at the elbows like that. You can do that. It works. As I said, all these techniques work, but maybe they're not the most efficient or the most efficient for you. As you can see, the rope is getting quite short. So if we really exaggerate the crisscross, we're going to shorten the rope. Another thing too, look at all the movement we're doing with our arms. Here, if we do the cross up high, our arms are traveling a good distance. So you can imagine if you're doing a lot of repetitions like that, you're going to be increasing the likelihood of you getting tired. And because you're traveling farther with the ropes, your arms, you're adding a little bit of complexity to the move. So you're going to increase the likelihood of you making a mistake. Similarly, even if you do crisscrosses here across the body, notice here, when I cross here, now you can do this with short handles, you can do this with long handles, you can do crisscrosses with no handles, as you've seen me do in videos. If you watch this channel if you've seen quite a few videos, I jump rope even with no handles. So here, let's say I cross my arms, here my forearms are crossed. In order to perform a cross, the rope, there has to be a certain distance here where my feet can fit in between. So here I am, I'm crossing the rope. Okay, so can my feet get between there? Perhaps, yes, but maybe I might want to cross my arms a little bit farther. Okay, the rope has to go, obviously, past your body, past the sides of your body, and there has to be enough room for your feet to get through. But the more you cross your arms, the more you exaggerate them, that cross, you're bringing the rope a little bit higher, which means you're going to have to jump a bit higher. And as you saw there when I was doing the regular 2-foot crisscross, I was not jumping high off the ground at all. And I'm going to share with you why. Okay, so that's one thing to keep in mind. When you're doing crisscrosses, yes, you have to cross the rope a certain distance so that your feet can get through the rope, but you don't need to cross it excessively. And yes, you can do this. Some exceptional jump ropers do this, but maybe it's not the best thing for you to do when you're learning how to do crisscrosses. Okay, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Another thing too, when you're uncrossing the rope. Now, when I learned how to do crisscrosses, one technique that I really like doing is starting with my arms here, but bringing them far. When I was doing crisscrosses, I used to like swinging the arms. I still like doing them from time to time, but I know how to do them and I know what works well with them and what doesn't. So here, let's say you cross your arms. You got to be careful too when you're uncrossing them. So maybe your problem is not with crossing the rope. Maybe you're not making mistakes when you cross it. There's not too much, you're not bringing the rope too high when you cross the rope. So you're able to cross them well, but maybe what you do is you uncross your arms too much, and then you have the same issue. The rope can get high on your legs, high in your shin. So if I'm jumping rope here and I do a nice cross, there's adequate room for my feet to get through. But then as I uncross, I cross too intensely with too much force. I'm exaggerating that there, but you can see what happens to the rope. It gets a little bit higher, so we have to watch out for that. We don't want to cross maybe too much our arms, and we don't want to uncross our arms too much. Speaking of crossing the arms, and I'm covering a lot in this video, when you do crisscrosses, you might prefer crossing with your left arm over your right, even if you are right-handed. I know a lot of people, they prefer doing crisscrosses with their left hand, doing the lead cross. There, the left arm is crossing over top of the right. So that's okay, experiment. Just because you're right-handed doesn't mean you have to cross with your right arm over top. Doesn't mean it might come more natural to you. Practice what works well for you, and of course you want to practice with both arms too. Nice to be proficient with both. But you might have a preference for one arm crossing over the other. So just because you're right-handed doesn't mean you have to cross with the right arm. You can cross with the left. Okay, so now I'm going to mention something that's really important when you're learning how to do crisscross, or when you want to perform them well. And this is something that I introduced at the beginning of the video. It's connected with the angle at which you cross the rope. This is really important. So if you remember at the beginning, I was doing the jog step, and then I started doing crisscrosses. And something I'm going to mention here in the video, when you get good at them, you can adjust your speed. When you first learn how to do crisscrosses, you can go slowly. Be patient. When you have a lot of time. Cross, uncross, cross, uncross. And then as you get better, you can speed up the motion. And it's not a lot of arm movement, it's a lot of wrist. Tight figure eights, high knees. Okay, you can speed up the motion, but you know, as you're learning how to do them, you don't have to go really fast. Take your time, but getting back to the angle at which you cross the rope, this is extremely important. So here, all good, all good, all good. Ooh. So the rope got caught in my feet. Did you notice what happened there? We can see here in slow motion. When I'm doing crisscrosses, when I'm crossing the rope, I try to point the handles not directly down to the ground, but at an angle down towards the ground. And then what happens is I start crossing the rope, bringing my arms closer and closer to parallel to the ground, where I'm almost forming a 90-degree angle at my elbows. And when you're doing that, you're bringing the rope higher up, and therefore you're shortening the rope. You're increasing the likelihood that the rope is going to hit your legs or your ankles. So when you do crisscrosses, I'll show you here again. Notice where I'm aiming the jump rope handles. I'm aiming them down towards the ground. Some people like aiming them even at a closer angle to their feet. And the reason being is because you're creating slack in that rope. If you're aiming them out in front of your body, like here at a 90-degree angle, this is when I made a mistake. Look what happens to the rope. Here, cross the rope here, rope is quite high up. Okay, cross the rope down here, a bit of slack. Here, a little bit more slack. Here, a lot of slack. I think a happy medium is good. Not maybe directly in your feet. If it works for you, fantastic. You might have to do that if you're using a particularly short rope. But a nice comfortable angle at your forearms works well. Cross the rope. So not here, maybe not right. You can do right down in front of your body. Some people like that, but it's not necessarily the most efficient. Rather a nice comfortable angle. And the reason this angle works well is because one, there's enough slack in the rope, and two, generally when people are jumping rope, they're not jumping rope with their arms down here. So if you're down here, and then it makes sense to just do a crisscross, bring your arms across. But a lot of people are already jumping at this kind of an angle in their forearm, so it just makes sense. Bring the rope across their body. That's very efficient. So if you don't have to change your arm technique, your wrist or hand positioning too much when you're doing crisscrosses, all the better, very efficient. So here, I'm doing my regular, say, boxer skip here, okay, and then I just do on to crisscrosses. Okay, back to my regular hop, my boxer hop. Okay. Here. Okay, so it's just, there's very little change in my arm position, very efficient. I'm going here, and I'm going here, here, slight angle, back. So it's very efficient. I'm jumping here, my normal technique, and then when I do crisscross, it's virtually the same. Very, very efficient. Not a lot of change in the pattern. Here, cross. Not pointing my arms right down. You can do it. Creates a lot of slack, but a nice, comfortable angle. Basically what I use when I'm skipping, back, 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 back. Another thing which I see a lot of people doing that I've taught help do crisscrosses and they struggle with it is this idea when they're doing a crisscross, they bring their rope, the handles, the wrists way back like so. Can you see what's going on there? I'm bringing my hands here, so the rope, my thumbs are here, the rope is out there to the side, and as I'm doing the crisscross, I point the handles, the hands, back behind my body. So if it works for you, fantastic. If it doesn't, I'll share with you what you can do. One really good approach for learning how to do crisscrosses for a lot of people is the figure eight. So when you're doing crisscrosses, let's say, you know, the figure eight motion. If we kind of mimic that with our hands and our wrists. So we're jumping rope here. As the rope is going overhead, that's when we begin the cross. And that's when we prepare to jump. As the rope is going overhead, that's when we're going to begin pushing maybe our feet into the ground, getting ready to jump. And as the rope is coming over, we begin that cross. So we can make a figure eight motion. I'm just going to exaggerate it here for a second. Cross the rope and uncross. Cross the rope, uncross. Cross the rope, uncross. So very fluid motion with my hands and my wrists. Okay, I'm going to talk about something very important here connected with the figure eight, but you can just get an idea of what this motion, this movement is like. You can try it yourself at home there. Okay, you cross the rope, uncross. Cross the rope, uncross. And when you're doing figure eights, one thing I just made reference to in a Jake Paul video is his crisscrosses are quite good, but when he's doing his figure eights, he often brings the rope too high. He does one part of the figure eight he exaggerates it too much. So he crosses the rope and then he does a figure eight quite high up the body. And when you do that, cross the rope, bring the hands up, the rope is going to get shorter. It's going to throw off your technique. It's going to increase the likelihood of you making mistakes. So that's one thing that he does. Does a really high arcing figure eight at the top, unnecessary. When we're doing figure eights, we cross the rope. As I said earlier there, we don't need to exaggerate the cross. It shortens the rope. You can do your figure eight and you don't have to bring the rope too far outside your body. You just need a certain amount of room to get through there. And as you get better at crisscrosses, you can even do them with less room to jump through. But just bring your arms out to the side. And as I said, you don't need to bring the jump rope handles back. What I found works really well, and what people who are struggling with them that I've taught, this works really well. You're doing your figure eight, you're bringing the rope, so the handles are here, kind of out to the side at a slight angle. I'm just doing my normal technique, and then I go into a figure eight, and notice what I do here with the handles, where they're pointing. I'm not bringing them back, but I'm just bringing them kind of almost at a slight angle. I don't want them to go back, I just have them at a nice angle, and I rotate my wrists. Nice and easy, and I'm not really exaggerating the figure eight. I'm not using my arms too much. Now, as I said, you can do it, these techniques work, but it's not necessary. We want to get really efficient at the movement. So we want to we can keep our wrists, our hands, our arms close together when we're doing the figure eights. Nice and easy, very efficient. Have enough space for your legs to get through, and then bring your arms back. So nice fluid motion. some people, when they're learning how to do crisscrosses, people who like doing 1-foot hops or find them relatively easy, they sometimes prefer learning how to do crisscrosses on 1 foot because they're reducing the space that the rope has to pass. And if you do like doing 1-foot hops, watch out with that lead foot here, my right foot. You don't want it to go out to the side here. That increases the likelihood of the rope getting caught on it. Similarly, you don't want the foot going out to the back, to the side like this, because again, the rope can get caught there. A good idea is to keep that foot almost in front of your other foot, the foot that's on the ground doing the jumping. You want to reduce the space that the rope has to pass, like so. Okay, so 1-foot hops are generally quite difficult, but some people find it easier to learn how to do crisscrosses. When you're learning how to do crisscrosses, you don't have to be able to do a bunch of them in a row at first. One thing that I found helpful was just trying to get into the feel what it's like to do a crisscross. One thing which you can do is put the rope behind your body like so and spin the rope overhead and see if you can catch the rope under your feet when you do the cross. So just get into the habit to what it feels like to do a cross. Okay? If you're able to catch the rope under your feet, that means you're crossing the rope quite nicely. The rope is not going out to the side. Okay? See that from the side? Okay, so see if you can catch the rope. Okay, so if you're able to do that, just do that several times. And that will get you in the habit of what it feels like to do a cross. And when you're doing crisscrosses, another really important thing to keep in mind, the thumbs and the index finger, those are really important. We use those to control the jump rope handles, the direction of the rope. So when you're doing your figure eights, really focus on holding the rope, the handles with these. You don't have to squeeze them, but direct the handles. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of this video. It also brings me to the end of the battery on my phone, on my recorder. So I really hope you found this video helpful. Yeah, really hope you found this helpful, you find it helpful. And I look forward to making a lot more jump rope videos, tutorials, fitness videos. So thanks for watching.